Professor Griff. Tune in every weeknight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on youtube.com/C/Sirius Mindz RNTV. And make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Sirius Mindz for Sirius Mindz. Seriously. Peace.
Open your eyes to the endless possibilities of creating from your centerpiece. Experience your visions brought into reality and watch your dreams unfold naturally. If pictures are worth 1,000 words, let's create a story that's a masterpiece. Caso Visions. Capture your visions. Open your eyes to the endless possibilities of creating from your centerpiece. Experience your visions brought into reality and watch your dreams unfold naturally. If pictures are worth 1,000 words, let's create a story that's a masterpiece. Caso Visions. Capture your visions.
Peace. Greetings. How's everyone doing? And we're black here on a Tuesday evening. In the building right here in the ATL, we got my man, Mr. Shane Shakur. Hold up. What was his tag name? Shane Thug Life Shakur. Woo! Anyway. Alright. What was I saying? Oh, okay. Anyway. Alright. So, greetings everyone. How you doing? This is Professor Griff right here at Sirius Mindz. For Sirius Mindz. Seriously. So, peace to everyone, whatever greetings that you go by, whatever school of thought that you are from. You might not even be from a school of thought. You might just be somebody trying to come into consciousness, trying to be awake and aware. And you one of the individuals that you still talking about good evening and hi. I mean, if that's where you are right now, then that's where you are. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a beautiful thing. But yeah, so I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, and we're going to do part 2 of this deep fake. Alright? Not to be confused with deep state. Alright? So you might want to look at what deep state is also. Alright? Alright, so greetings to the Sirius Mindz family. Once again, 16 will not be with us. I am filling in on this Tuesday and Thursday. I think this is my 4th or 5th show on a Tuesday and Thursday. Filling in, waiting for 16 to get back to the microphone. Alright, so get well soon, and we'll see you in a minute, Miss 16. So I want to thank all the supporters of the Sirius Mindz family. Thanks to the Sirius Mindz family for supporting this particular platform and getting it to where it is right now as we speak. This platform is supported by the people. Alright. So I want to thank those people that come on every single night to support the platform. Alright, if you'd like to donate or contribute to Sirius Mindz platform, you can do that by going to Cash App and hitting $ Professor Griff. Keep in mind, when we support independent media, alright, get the unfiltered news from our perspective. Alright, you participate in the process of forming and centering your thoughts around a particular issue, and that issue you can discuss. Alright, so I want to thank everybody for contributing your hard-earned dollars, your attention, your resources, and more importantly, your time. Alright, if you would like to contribute via PayPal, go to paypal.me/Professor Griff Corp, or go to www.professorgriff.me on my website and donate that way. All right, or you could just stay right here where we are and hit the $ at the bottom for the super chat, and we could just kind of take it from there. All right, this platform, this station, this channel, we are dedicated to raising the vibrational pitch of our people's thinking into the mind of the creator and the co-creator, standing on the shoulders of the ancestors and kneeling at the feet of the elders. All right. So with that said, we're going to dive into this subject, deep fake. We did part 1 yesterday, and it simply talked about the whole idea of the people in Silicon Valley creating software now, all right, that they can actually put a face on someone else and make it seem like it's you. They can put you in places where you're not, you've never been. They can all kind of stuff with deep fake. What I would suggest people do is just kind of look at Google deep fake and check out some examples. We showed some examples yesterday. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to give everybody a minute. We're going to wait for this thing to populate, and we're going to play a commercial while everybody goes to look up and get an example of what deep fake is before we dive into this subject. We will be right back.
Greetings, this is Professor Griff. Tune in every weeknight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on youtube.com/C/Sirius Mindz RNTV. And make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Sirius Mindz for Sirius Mindz, seriously. Peace.
Open your eyes to the endless possibilities of creating from your centerpiece. Experience your visions brought into reality and watch your dreams unfold naturally. If pictures are worth 1,000 words, let's create a story that's a masterpiece. Caso Visions. Capture your visions.
You know how to get into the back room where the analytics are to see whether or not if someone is blocked. Sirius Mindz family. All from our good brother, Mr. Bryce Clemens.
It says automatically block spam messages. Is that different from?
Yeah, there's a list of names. I bet it just gives names. I don't. Well, just let me know enough you can find a list of names of people that are blocked, because this individual was hitting me up and he said, "Man, I am blocked, man, for real." All right, let's get black to this. All right, we're black. Just had to take care of some business. All right, to the few people that's been texting me and hitting me up, letting me know that you're blocked, we're going to try to work that out in a minute. All right? All right. Well, tonight we're going to talk about Deepfake 2, the mind control. All right? And so we're going to dive into the whole idea of mind control. We touched on it yesterday with a friend of mine, Mr. Stephen Jacobson, Mind Control in America. So right now, if you don't mind, just kind of look up Stephen Jacobson, Mind Control in America. I'm not sure if Shane Shakur have the book. You say, yeah, man, I got the book. Right, man. Okay. You all get my business, though. You really all up in my business, Griff. Real. Alright, so here's Stephen Jacobson. Alright, Mind Control in America.
The purpose of propaganda is to direct public attention to certain facts.
The whole art consists in doing this so skillfully that everyone will be convinced that the fact is real,
wrote Adolf Hitler in Mein Kampf. To be effective, propaganda must constantly short-circuit all conscious thinking and operate on the individual subconsciously. The principles behind the big lie of propaganda are the same principles of mind control, hypnotic suggestion, mental programming, distraction, and repetition. Distraction focuses the attention of the conscious mind on one or more of the five senses in order to stop conscious thinking, thus producing a state of mind that is similar to daydreaming. Think of the times you have caught yourself staring blankly at the television screen, losing all sense of time and place. When you stop conscious thinking and your mind goes blank, this is the hypnotic state of mind. This altered state occurs naturally, but can also be induced by clever manipulation. Think of the times you have seen flashing words in TV commercials. The flashing words are a distraction for your eyes to lock onto in order to induce hypnosis. The purpose of this is to reduce any resistance to the message by stopping all thought and analysis. Watching television often produces an altered state of consciousness. Though not consciously perceived, the television screen, while appearing static, actually flickers. Any repeating light or sound pattern can lead you into an altered state. A hypnotist uses pattern speech by varying the pacing and inflection of his voice to induce the state of mind in his subject. It is in this state of mind where one is the most receptive to mental programming. Whether or not the information takes hold in the mind depends on two factors: trust in the source of the information and the repetition of the message. Trust in the source of the information induces acceptance of the message as true, even if it is not understood. Repetition of the message embeds it in the subconscious so that acceptance of its truth and accuracy becomes a conditioned response. Thus, this information will be accepted as true without thinking about it whenever it is presented again. Subliminal perception is the process whereby you receive and respond to visual and sound information without being aware of it. The message in the form of printed words, pictures, or voices is presented either so rapidly or so faintly that you are not consciously aware of having seen or heard anything. In 1957, marketing researcher and psychologist James Vickery tested subliminal ads in a New Jersey movie theater. The messages,
hungry, eat popcorn,
and
drink Coca-Cola,
were flashed on the screen at 1/3000th of a second every 5 seconds during the movie. Sales increased for popcorn and Coca-Cola. Every major advertising agency in North America has sponsored extensive research into subliminal perception. Vance Packard's 1957 book, The Hidden Persuaders, revealed that American industry was researching the use of subliminal messages to motivate people to buy their products. Dr. Wilson Bryan Key has documented in 4 books the widespread use of subliminal ads by the advertising industry.
All right. Now that was a lot to take in. Brian Wilson Key. Who is Brian Wilson Key? Why are these people investing so much money, $1 billion a year, to be able to manipulate and control the minds of the masses of the people? Alright? Deepfake is used in two forms: the generator and the other discriminator, aka known as gain generative adversarial network. Right on. Okay. Repetition and distraction. Repetition is the mother of learning, yes, which also causes distraction. When these principles are used in advertising, we got to understand something. This, I think, Stephen Jacobson put out years ago. And even the publishing of this is 2015. But I've had the book way before then. Or the information, not necessarily the book, but the information. So then, how is it being used in a digital format? When we're talking about living in an analog world prior to the advent of the internet, all right, how was these techniques being used? So now we're talking about the internet, and things are 100 times faster, and you get a lot more in a short period of time. What do you think the average rate is now on the techniques that they're using to bombard your mind and clog your brain with advertising? There's advertising everywhere. You remember the movie Minority Report? There was advertising everywhere. Everywhere. Let's get back to this.
Messages programmed directly to the subconscious bypass critical analysis and the...
Excuse me for yawning. They're programming messages to the subconscious mind, and they bypass critical analysis. They're not even giving you time to think and process. You're getting the message and you're acting on it. I saw a disturbing video a few minutes ago that was sent to me, and the headlines just read, hold on. You still didn't find the names in the back room of the people that are blocked? I saw a disturbing video of subliminal seduction. Okay. Trying to find the what's in it. Yeah, there was a young lady about to get into a fight. 3-month-old dies days after falling from mother's arm during a fight between mom and another woman. Did you see that? What mind and what mindset do you have to come to a fight with your 3-year-old baby in your arms? Yeah, Quan, I remember that. It was like they showed a dozen or so news media stations, and all of them basically were saying the same thing. And regardless of where people live and who they are, what their ethnicity is, all of the newscasters sounded like. And they were all saying the same thing because they get their news from one source. Alright? But this video disturbed me simply because, and I want to talk about it on a Freestyle Friday. I don't want to talk about it now. How do you come to a fight with your newborn in your arms?
That's ghetto.
You said that's ghetto? More so than being ghetto, what is the mindset?
Low vibration.
So yeah. So let's get back to this. 3-month-old, I'm sorry. It's a 3-month-old.
Conscious choice to accept or reject the message. Repetition of the message constitutes mental programming. Subliminal
Repetition of the message constitutes mental programming. Repetition of the message constitutes mental programming. Keep that in mind.
messages have been used in music, radio, television, and movies. In November 1957, TV station WTWO in Bangor, Maine, experimented with projecting a subliminal message on television. In 1958, radio station KOL in Seattle broadcast subliminal messages under the music played by its disc jockeys.
How about a cup of coffee?
Was one, and another was,
Someone's at the door.
the movie The Exorcist used both subliminal sounds and pictures. A full-screen death mask of Father Karras was flashed on the screen at 1/48 of a second a number of times during the movie. The consciously unnoticed word pig appeared many times throughout the movie. The terrified squealing of pigs being slaughtered and the buzzing sound of angry bees was mixed into the soundtrack. Laboratory experiments show that people will react to certain words, pictures, and sounds with quickened pulse, faster breathing, sweating palms, and other indications of heightened emotions. People actually fainted in response to this movie. Many became nauseous, and many had nightmares. William Peter Blatty, the author of the novel and producer of the movie, was a CIA operative who served as the policy branch chief of the Psychological Warfare Division of the United States Air Force.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a grave announcement to make. Incredible as it may seem, both the observations of science and the evidence of our eyes lead to the inescapable assumption that those strange beings who landed in the Jersey farmlands tonight are the vanguard of an invading army from the planet Mars.
On October 30th, 1938, thousands of people fled from a crisis that had no existence except in their imaginations. A radio broadcast of a dramatization of H.G. Wells's War of the Worlds led thousands of listeners to believe that the planet Earth had been invaded by Martians. The 1983 TV movie Special Bulletin about terrorists exploding an atomic bomb in Charleston, South Carolina, prompted numerous calls to stations across America from people who wanted to know if it was real. In both instances, despite disclaimers, people thought they were listening to an authentic newscast. Think for a moment about the way newscasters speak, and you will realize that they all talk the same way, regardless of their ethnic background. Whether they be black, white, Hispanic, or Oriental, with few exceptions, they all sound alike. The patterned speech of a newscaster is similar to that of a hypnotist. The eye contact made with the viewer is also used by the hypnotist. Emotions can be stirred, attitudes and states of mind revealed by nuances of tone and variation in vocal quality. The camera can reveal the smallest movement of the most subtle change of expression and give it significance and definition. With the selective use of camera angles and judicious cutting, it is simple to distort the meaning of what someone says, not only by cutting out statements, but by cutting in a reaction shot or by adding laughter or applause. A picture may be worth 1,000 words, but it can also deceive one into believing something that is not true. The practice of staging events and employing impersonators of political figures was often used by the early newsreel companies. The capacity to lie with a picture and be undetected has been greatly enhanced by modern computer technology. Is it possible that all verbal and nonverbal communication has been identified, defined, and reduced to a code that can be manipulated? Is it possible to program an entire population to respond to certain words, images, vocal qualities, body movements, gestures, and expressions? The result of such programming would be a population that is highly suggestible, a population that can be manipulated. Superstar Jimi Hendrix said,
"You can hypnotize people with music, and when you get them at that weakest point, you can preach into their subconscious whatever you want to say."
The power of music has been recognized throughout history. Plato and Aristotle believed that...
All right, we're going to dive into the aspect of this section of music. I went downstairs to try to find the book so we can dive deeper into it. I'm going to go downstairs and try to find it again. But pay attention to this part right here where he talks about the idea of subliminal messages and music. And then we're going to associate that with the videos that are coming out now. And then we can get an idea, a deeper idea of the deep fake. Because there were movies that were put out. And the actors, they just use the actor's face. Yeah, what kind of paycheck is that, man? For real. Alright, be right back. Listen up.
People could be controlled by music. Music affects the emotions, the mind, and the body. Sound causes changes in body chemistry, blood pressure, breathing, and digestion. Fast music will speed up the nervous system, while slow music will slow it down. The entire body is sensitive to sound. Low tones will vibrate in the lower parts of the body, and high tones will vibrate in the higher portions and on into the head. Even sounds that cannot be heard affect you. Low-frequency infrasonic sounds affect the internal organs and can cause headaches, nausea, dizziness, and fatigue. Much of today's popular rock music is built around a heavy bass pattern louder than the melody. These loud, low-frequency vibrations and the driving beat of most rock music affect the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland produces hormones that control male and female sexual responses. These low-frequency vibrations vibrate in the lower parts of the body so that the music feels good. Though the message of some rock music is thoughtful and positive, the message of many rock videos and the music, particularly heavy metal, is a negative mental program that glorifies violence and deviant behavior. A visit to your local record store to check the lyrics on the back of the albums will reveal recurring themes preoccupied with violence, rape, sadomasochism, suicide, illicit sex, drug and alcohol abuse, fascination with the occult, and in some instances, race antagonism. Backward masking, where a message is spoken or sung that intentionally means something else when played backwards, has been used in some rock music since the Beatles first used the technique. The subconscious can decode and read messages spoken or sung backwards. When played backwards, the song Miss Me Blind by Culture Club repeats the message, "Be in sin when you're not," over and over again. First, listen to the music cut played forward. Played backwards, the message is, "Be in sin when you're not." The use of backward masking may be far more extensive than anyone suspects. There are literally hundreds of examples and a disturbing proliferation of satanic messages. For example, from the album Raising Hell by Run DMC, listen to the music cut played forwards. Played backwards, The message is, Hail Satan. It is important to note that the lyrics of many rock songs are not clearly distinguishable consciously. When you do not hear the message clearly, you cannot make the conscious choice to accept or reject it. When you cannot make that choice, or when that choice is taken away from you, the message is programmed to your subconscious without your being aware of it. The repeating beat of the music is a distraction for the conscious mind to lock on to in order to stop conscious thinking, thus causing the hypnotic state of mind, a state of mind that is similar to daydreaming. Repetition of the message constitutes mental programming. In time, the effects of this kind of programming will appear. These effects can be physical, psychological, and emotional. Numerous motion pictures have precipitated violence over the years. The Warriors, one of a number of movies about street gangs, was followed by a rash of violence in cities across the nation. Approximately 28 people died playing Russian roulette in response to seeing the deer hunter. The press reported that John Hinckley Jr. told his attorneys that the idea to assassinate President Reagan came to him after seeing the movie Taxi Driver. A report released in 1982 by the National Institute of Mental Health said,
Violence on television does lead to aggressive behavior by children and teenagers who watch the programs.
Dr. Thomas Narut from the U.S. Naval Hospital at NATO headquarters in Naples investigated the use of film to train servicemen who were not inclined to kill to be able to do so. Films were screened which showed people being maimed or killed violently to desensitize the men to those acts. A progressively more graphic depiction of violence in movies, television, and music desensitizes people, especially young people, to real-life violence and increases tension, anxiety, and fear among older people who perceive increasing lawlessness and the breakdown of society. A University of Massachusetts study of crime programs on television reveals that law enforcement officers are often shown breaking and entering illegally, failing to inform suspects of their rights, terrorizing and coercing witnesses, and accepting bribes. Constitutional guarantees are regarded as bothersome technicalities that hinder the police in the performance of their duty. Professors Catch and Ahrens, who conducted the study, said,
Police shows seem to reduce the ordinary citizen's awareness of constitutional rights and responsibilities. Many people engrossed in the drama of rapid-fire action or preoccupied with violence fail even to notice blatant police state tactics.
Peace. Music influences on you today. More than ever, young girls need direction, love, guidance, and okay. All right. I think the more and more we dive into subjects like this, I think it tends to lead to not only a certain degree of consciousness, but a certain degree of, when I say consciousness, I'm talking about I'm talking about being conscious of what's going on around you, but it helps cement those things that you've affirmed, that you've already affirmed, and you're just building on it. A lot of times when we hear stuff like this, if we don't understand, we store it away, and we have to grow. We have to grow up in order to kind of meet it where it's at. So Stephen Jacobson put this down, and the things that he's talking about and here are very relevant. And even though he put this down probably, 20 years ago, we can look at it and we can look into the whole science of NLP. this neuro-linguistics programming, and what's the implications of how they're doing that today, and how does that tie in with deep fake? How they're pulling this off. You cannot pull off deep fake if you have the masses of the people that are awake and that are aware. All right. You know how sometimes you watch something like this and you go to the comments and you'll see somebody say something stupid. It's like, wait, how'd you get that what you said from this? You understand what I'm saying? I say even with those kind of situations, it's like if you don't like the intonation of his voice, then extract what you can extract from it and keep pushing. If you mean to tell me you went to a car lot and you saw a nice, beautiful car, the car that you wanted, but because you know the little thing that covers the latch where you lock the door was the wrong color, you didn't like the car. Something so minute. The cover that covered the light on the dome in the car, you didn't like that. So you took the car back. It is stupid. Alright? We have dismissed not only scholars, we have dismissed elders. We've dismissed people that have laid their lives on the line to bring us this information. I'm saying that to say this. Who are the next crop of people that probably never even heard of deep fake? Who are those people that's going to bring us this kind of information? And then will we dismiss them? All right? Who are they? And then who are we that the masses of the people are being affected by deep fake? All right, let's do a little bit more. And then there's some other information on deep fake I want to drop on you.
The Supreme Court has consistently expanded police powers and governmental authority while curtailing individual rights, thus enacting into law principles much like those presented on TV crime programming. The relationship between the increase in crime and the decrease in individual rights is a classic example of the Hegelian principle of the bringing about change in a three-step process. The first step is to create a problem. The problem in this case is the increase in crime brought about in part by mass media programming of criminal behavior, making violence an acceptable means of problem solving, especially among young people. The second step is to create opposition to the problem.
Wait, this is the Hegelian dialectic principle that he's about to break down. All right, so I need y'all to pay attention. All right, this is the Hegelian dialectic principle. All right, and he's bringing it right up to date to what we're talking about now.
Change in a three-step. The Supreme Court has consistently expanded police powers and governmental authority while curtailing individual rights, thus enacting into law principles much like those presented on TV crime programming. The relationship between the increase in crime and the decrease in individual rights is a classic example of the Hegelian principle of the bringing about change in a three-step process. The first step is to create a problem. The problem in this case is the increase in crime brought about in part by mass media programming of criminal behavior, making violence an acceptable means of problem solving, especially among young people. The second step is to create opposition to the problem. In other words, create anxiety and fear in the public so that people demand that something be done about it. The third step is to offer the solution to the problem that may entail a restriction of individual rights or some other predetermined goal, thus bringing about change that would have been impossible to impose on people without proper psychological conditioning. By causing emotional stress and mental confusion, judgment is impaired and suggestibility increased. Under these conditions, people allow their rights to be diminished without realizing its ramifications. The war on drugs is another example of this strategy in action. In 1936, a movie used hypnotic suggestion to give the audience instructions to do something. That movie was Reefer Madness. This movie used hypnotic techniques to both encourage marijuana use and promote anti-marijuana legislation. Parents,
you and all the school parent groups about the country, and you must stand united on this and stamp out this frightful assassin of our youth. You can do it by bringing about compulsory education on the subject of narcotics in general, but great marijuana in particular. That is the purpose of this meeting, ladies and gentlemen, to lay the foundation for a nationwide campaign by you to demand by law such compulsory education.
Okay. Programming and conditioning on a psychological level. Can we name some current situations that speak to this particular technique? Okay, and what do they want to bring about? What's the that's the cause, but what's the effect they're trying to bring about?
Dumbing down the next generation.
Oh, okay. And why do you think they want to dumb down the next generation?
So, I would say, so they don't have the ability to comprehend the type of changes that the government are trying to instill.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah. So by the time it comes, it's too late. Their minds are not even thinking about that.
So basically, what you're saying is they keep the level of the music that they are allowing the vast masses of the people to listen to and digest. It dumbs the people down.
Not just that, but take it a step further. The 9-area activity of Dr.
Right.
Express Wilson work, whether it's books, education, politics, law.
Right.
If they even go into those different sections, they're going to have a limited view.
Oh, okay, that's what you're saying. Okay. All right. Mr. Dale Dixon, you're having a whole different kind of conversation on here, bro. I'm trying to yeah, Mr. Dale Dixon, help me out with what you're doing, bro. All right. Hold on 1 second. Oh, so you don't have the chat. Where's the chat? Bring the chat. All right. So now, in dealing with real-time situations, I can understand what you're saying, Shane, about the music being what it is today, but we have to be able to look at what's going on today. What is the end result? What's the end game now?
I would say if you're to implement things like the King Alfred plan. You have to have people with a mindset that's not even thinking about it.
I see what you're saying. Right, right. So if the people are not necessarily thinking about their survival, no, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so they're more thinking about dancing and
Yeah. As the last posters party and BS.
right.
Yeah. One more word from Stephen Jacobson. So the whole idea of the programs that they had set forth back in the day, MK Ultra, MK Delta, and all of these mind control and mind altering kind of operations, do you think that has anything to do with laying the base for deepfake? I'm asking everyone that. I'm talking to Shane, but I'm asking everyone that.
Sometimes I feel like a lot of us haven't even reached a level to be affected by that yet.
So you have to reach a level to be affected by it?
Like your mentality hasn't even reached a level for you to understand how they affecting you. You know what I'm saying? Because what you bombarded with.
So basically, as long as people keep their head in the sand, stay dumb, be bombarded with trying to pay bills, trying to figure out what you're going to eat, when's the next party, when's the next concert. Yeah. Just remaining distracted by what these people are doing. Okay.
Put in front of him and reads certain facts from it. The white sheet of paper prominent in the middle of the screen is a distraction for the eyes to lock onto in order to cause the hypnotic state of mind while information is programmed to the audience verbally. Dr. Carroll delivers his lines with a hypnotic rhythm that is punctuated by changes in pacing, volume, and tone, just like a hypnotist. He speaks with authority and looks into the camera and into the eyes of the audience. Both are hypnotic techniques. Picture yourself in a movie theater. Now imagine a huge face on the screen staring at you. The stated intent of Reefer Madness was to stamp out the menace of marijuana because it leads to, quote, acts of shocking violence ending often in incurable insanity, end quote. In contrast, young people are shown having a good time smoking marijuana, dancing, kissing, and retreating to the bedroom. By showing young people having a good time smoking marijuana, Reefer Madness encouraged young people to at least try it. By telling the story of normal kids going berserk because of marijuana, Reefer Madness scared older people into demanding that something be done. This movie was part of a well-orchestrated propaganda campaign that included newspapers, magazines, and radio. In 1937, about a year after the release of the movie, the Marijuana Tax Act was signed into law, with a major effect being to drive prices up for marijuana to make its cultivation and distribution profitable. Bertrand Russell, philosopher, educator, and atheist.
All right, do me a favor real quick. Let me see if I can engage y'all for a few minutes. Can you put up Bertrand Russell? Can you look Bertrand Russell? Bertrand Russell. Who was Bertrand Russell? What was he responsible for? I'm trying to help lay a base so people can understand deep fake. There are positive uses for deepfake technology, like making digital voices for people who lost theirs or updating film footage instead of reshooting it if an actor trips over his lines. However, the potential for malicious use is of grave concern, especially as the technology gets more and more refined. There have been tremendous progress in the quality of deep fakes since only a few years ago, when the first products of the technology circulated. Since that time, many of the scariest examples of artificial intelligence, AI, enabled deep fakes to have technology leaders, governments, and media talking about perils it could create for the communities. That is the scariest part of it. Alright? I've taken 2 breaks so far to give people the opportunity to look up what deepfake is. And from the comments, in the comment section, in the chat room, it's like a lot of people are saying things that are so far from what deepfake is. What we were doing with Stephen Jacobson is laying out a base, alright, to give people an understanding of what deepfake is. The whole concept of deepfake will only get more advanced in technique, delivery, and control of the masses. Thank you, Quan S. To refuse to face facts merely because they are unpleasant is considered the mark of a weak character, except in the sphere of religion. Bertrand Russell. Wow. Back to Stephen Jacobson, then I'm going to play a clip from Deepfake. Alright? Now this Stephen Jacobson is Mind Control in America. You can look it up, and then you can go deeper into it and look up the NLP. Alright? Which is the Neuro-Linguistic Programming, and how they program your mind. Alright.
Wrote in his book, The Impact of Science on Society.
I think the subject which will be of most importance politically is mass psychology. Its importance as will not be allowed to know how its convictions were generated.
There could be no effective propaganda without mass media. Former national editor at the Washington Post and dean of the Graduate School of Journalism at the University of California at Berkeley, Ben Bedikian, reported in his book, The Media Number Shrank to 29. In the 3rd edition, published in 1990, the number shrank further to 26. The consolidation of ownership of the press, publishing, radio, television, and film makes the coordination of propaganda possible. The primary means for controlling people is the absolute control of information. Men in power often withhold information for selfish ends. They often present false information as a diversion for the same reason. Words can inform or misinform. What people think can be controlled by controlling information. Schools are institutions commanding trust, respect, and confidence. Picture a child studying in school, reading a book. The printed words are a distraction for the eyes to lock onto. The mind focuses on the content of the book. The information being read is being programmed to the reader's mind. The child has no reason to believe that a book would intentionally contain information that was false, and so accepts it as true, even if the child does not understand it. This is especially true in school, where there is pressure to accept what is presented as true, because that is expected, and compliance determines both your grade marks and future. Repetition of the information constitutes mental programming. Thus, this information is accepted as true without thinking about it whenever it is presented again. The college textbook, Introductory Psychology, 2nd edition, by Jonathan L. Friedman, published by Addison Wesley Publishing Company, contains information that is false. This textbook, used for General Psychology Course 221 at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, fall semester, 1982, says the following about brainwashing.
Some people who talk about brainwashing seem to believe that it involves extremely powerful methods that are almost irresistible. However, there is no evidence to suggest the existence of any such methods. In fact, the attempts at brainwashing we know about were not especially successful.
This is contrary to numerous documented reports, both academic and governmental, particularly official findings regarding brainwashing of POWs in Korea. There could be no effective propaganda without education. In the early 1900s, there began a dramatic shift in emphasis in American education, from intellectual development to socialization. The goals of education became political and social rather than academic. This was due in large part to John Dewey, who denied the existence of God and moral absolutes. As a result, the concept of right and wrong was removed from the schools, leading to a multitude of problems witnessed today. Professor Dewey based his educational reforms on the experimental psychology developed at Leipzig University by Wilhelm Wundt. Professor Wundt believed that man had no spirit. In his view, man was only a stimulus response animal. This kind of thinking led to the principles of conditioning developed by Ivan Pavlov and behavioral psychologists John Watson and B.F. Skinner. As a result, schools became indoctrination centers designed to bring about a new social order. Education of the young is used to condition them to what comes later, thereby eliminating the difference between propaganda and education. The mind is conditioned with vast amounts of information disguised as facts and knowledge.
So the schools now are indoctrination centers. Wow. That's interesting when you really kind of stop for a minute and process what he's saying. Indoctrination centers. Schools and the curriculum and the education is designed basically mainly to churn out non-thinking, obedient slaves. That the only thing that you can do is work in the factory.
It's like daycare for older kids.
Right. Alright. Interesting.
Dispensed for ulterior motives. According to the minute books of the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, the Carnegie Endowment, the Ford Foundation, the Guggenheim Foundation, and the Rockefeller Foundation worked in harmony for the control of education in America. The key to their plan to bring about social change was to alter the teaching of American history. The Guggenheim Foundation agreed to provide fellowships for doctoral candidates of American history selected by the Carnegie Endowment. 20 prospective teachers were assembled and taken to London to be briefed on what was expected of them. This group of historians became the nucleus of the American Historical Association.
Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past,
wrote George Orwell. Norman Dun.
How true is that statement? Who controls the present controls the past, and then he said he who controls the present controls the future. He who controls the past definitely controls the present, because you could determine and change a whole bunch of people's minds with how you could alter history. Let's hear that quote one more time. I want people to expound on that.
The key to their plan to bring about social change was to alter the teaching of American history. The Guggenheim Foundation agreed to provide fellowships for doctoral candidates of American history selected by the Carnegie Endowment. 20 prospective teachers were assembled and taken to London to be briefed on what was expected of them. This group of historians became the nucleus of the American Historical Association.
Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past,
wrote George Orwell. Norman Dodd, research director for the Special Committee to investigate tax-exempt foundations created by the 83rd Congress, was invited in November 1953 to meet in New York with Roman Gaither, president of the Ford Foundation. Mr. Gaither made a most revealing admission.
Mr. Dodd, we operate here under directives which emanate from the White House. The substance of the directives under which we operate is that we shall use our grant-making power to alter life in the United States so that we can be comfortably merged with the Soviet Union.
In his book, Brainwashing in the High Schools, Professor E. Merrill Root examines 11 history textbooks used in the Evanston Township High School in Evanston, Illinois from 1950 to 1952. None of these textbooks makes it clear that the government of the United States is not a democracy but a republic. The Founding Fathers defined the form of government they established as a constitutional republic. Not one of these textbooks lists the word republic in its index. The essence of psychological warfare is to confuse the meaning of words and infiltrate the mind with conflicting concepts.
Woo! What did y'all think about that last statement? Should I run that back? Hold on. Hold on. Listen close.
In his book, Brainwashing in the High Schools, Professor E. Merrill Root examines 11 history textbooks used in the Evanston Township High School in Evanston, Illinois from 1950 to 1952. None of these textbooks makes it clear that the government of the United States is not a democracy but a republic. The Founding Fathers defined the form of government they established as a constitutional republic. Not one of these textbooks lists the word republic in its index. The essence of psychological warfare is to confuse the meaning of words and infiltrate the mind with conflicting concepts. These textbooks interpret American history primarily as a class conflict between the rich and the poor, a Marxist doctrine. A trend shared by each of the textbooks reviewed was advocacy of a world government. And these textbooks are typical of the approved history taught in schools over the past 40 years. 19th century British Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli commented that the world is governed by very different people from what is imagined by those who are not behind the scenes.
Benjamin Disraeli. Can we look him up? Who is Benjamin Disraeli? And who are all of these people that have so much invested interest in the minds of the masses of people in America? Benjamin Disraeli. Let's hear that again.
And these textbooks are typical of the approved history taught in schools over the past 40 years. 19th century British Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli commented that the world is governed by very different people from what is imagined by those who are not behind the scenes. Political and economic power is concentrated in the hands of a ruling elite that controls the banks, large corporations, major communications media, influential foundations. In fact, their power encompasses all segments of society. Their goal is to return the world to serfdom with themselves as controllers of world affairs. Founded in 1921, the Council of Foreign Relations, located in New York City, is the American branch of a society that originated in England and is a key link between the ruling elite and the federal government. The Council has been called the Establishment, the Invisible Government, and the Rockefeller Foreign Office. Council members have held and continue to hold key government positions. Administrations, both Democrat and Republican, may change, but the Council of Foreign Relations remains to work its will from behind the scenes. The creation of the United Nations was a Council project, as well as the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. The goal of the Council is the establishment of a world government. On the international level, an organization similar to the Council called the Bilderbergers includes some of the world's most powerful financiers, industrialists, politicians, and intellectuals who meet each year for a conference on world affairs to decide how things will go for the rest of us. The goal of the Bilderbergers is the establishment of a world government. World government was always the goal of communism. The Bolshevik Revolution of 1917 was a turning point in world history. However, the revolution was financed by some of the world's richest and most powerful men. The money came primarily from America and Great Britain. Communism was forced on the Russian people from outside of Russia. Soviet economic and military development has been the result of the transfer of Western technology from Western companies allowed and encouraged by Western governments, principally the United States, Great Britain, France, Germany, and Italy. Communism was a movement created and manipulated by some of the world's most powerful and wealthy men in order to gain control of the world. While the communist world is becoming more like the West, America is going in the opposite direction. The political concepts of the United States have undergone a gradual alteration in order to promote administrative government by appointed bureaucrats rather than the constitutionally mandated representative government by elected officials. A network of organizations headquartered at what is called 1313 at the University of Chicago have been working to restructure local, state, and federal government. 1313 affiliates developed the regional framework to merge city-county government, then county district, district-state, state-region, and on to a region-international merger into a one-world government.
That's the ultimate goal, is to bring about a one-world mindset, one-world government, one-world currency, one-world religion, one-world rulership controlled by a handful of people. Alright? Can't get no more simpler than that. Stephen Jacobson laid it out in his monumental book, Mind Control in America. And you just heard from Stephen Jacobson the last 50 minutes. Alright? Just laying it out and giving proof and bringing receipts to the table. It's hard to argue with that when you look at what's going on, especially with what's going on now with this idea, this thing called deep fake. Alright, hold on 1 second. Listen.
So the synthesis engine says, I'm going to create a fake image. I give it to this AI system that says, this looks fake to me. So it goes back and you change it, and you do that a few billion times in rapid succession, and the computers are teaching each other how to make better fakes, and that's what has democratized access.
And that's why the Pentagon is interested in deep fakes. Its research enterprise, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, is exploring ways to defend against the threat of deep fakes.
DARPA. What is DARPA? Let's look up DARPA. Yeah, William Cooper from the book Behold a Pale Horse touched on it. You're absolutely correct. Wicked Selector. DARPA. What is the DARPA? And then for the real intelligent ones out there, Alex Little and Quan and Johnny Taylor, what is the DARPA net? And how did they morph that into the internet? What is the DARPA net? What's DARPA? What is DARPA?
Computer scientist Matt Turek runs DARPA's Media Forensics, or Metaphor, project.
So there's an opportunity here for us to essentially lose all trust in images and video.
Turek showed me some of the 70 counter deepfake techniques DARPA is helping nurture.
It's necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another.
This software is designed to characterize lip movement and compare it to the audio.
And so when we see these red bars, that means actually that the sounds of the speaker are not actually consistent with the movement of the lips.
Take a look at this video. Supposedly 2 people sitting together. But software that determines the lighting angle on faces concludes it is a composite.
So it estimates a 3D model for the face. Along with that 3D model, it estimates the reflectance properties of the face and also the lighting angles. And so here we're primarily using the lighting angles to see whether those are consistent or not.
In this example, video apparently gathered by a security camera shows only one car. This artificial intelligence algorithm is designed to predict how things should move.
What that's triggering off of is discontinuities in the motion. And so that gives us a signal to look at an image or video and say, well, perhaps frames were removed.
DARPA, did you find
And
DARPA?
it flags the video as altered. Another vehicle was edited out.
Defense technology
There's a cat and mouse game. The more
defense technology use DOE facial recognition. I didn't understand that. Oh, for facial recognition. All right. Okay. What does DARPA has to do with it? DARPA net. Talk to me. DJ FX, what's up, man? What's good with you, bro?
aspects that you can use to debunk an image or video, the more burden that you put on the manipulator.
But none of these ideas will work without the cooperation of the big social media platforms, YouTube and Facebook, which would need to deploy the software and delete the fakes, something Facebook refused to do when the Pelosi video emerged.
The platforms have been, for the most part, very cavalier about how they deal with this type of illegal content, harmful content, misinformation, fake news, election tampering, non-consensual pornography.
They'll let all of that fly, but as soon as you say a damn curse word, and you understand what I'm saying? You let part of your shoulder hang out of your shirt, they'll delete your damn channel. These people are something else, man. So all of the things this dude is running down. Hold on.
For the most part, very cavalier about how they deal with this type of illegal content, harmful content, misinformation, fake news, election tampering, non-consensual pornography, and the list goes on, because it gets eyes on the platform, and that's good for business.
A fake video, amplified in an echo chamber, can go an awfully long way before the facts even enter the picture. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Miles O'Brien in Los Angeles.
All right, Miles. Yeah, that was the PBS News Hour. Make sure you go to their channel, check them out. I'm not one of them individuals that play other people's stuff and not give credit where credit is due. All right, sophisticated and inaccurate altered videos known as deepfakes are causing alarm in the digital realm. We don't know what's real, what's fake, what to believe, what's not. We have to get a knowledge of self, and it has to be rooted. All right. The highly realistic manipulated videos are the subject of a House Intelligence Committee hearing on Thursday. As Mr. Miles O'Brien just put it, the accelerating speed of these deep fake videos and these computers and advances in machine learning makes deep fakes ever more difficult to detect among growing fears of their weaponization. They're weaponizing it. DARPA net became the internet. The military used DARPA. The military was the one that gave birth to Facebook. And NSA and all of these people work in hand in hand with one another, in concert with one another. All right? Yes. Do the research for yourself. So then when I wrote the book and I started talking about the Illuminati's takeover of hip-hop and music and what they were doing in music, people came at me like, oh, he crazy. You understand what I'm saying? We're going to talk about that on Thursday. Yeah, I don't think they were ready. But I got written off as being crazy. So we'll talk about that on Thursday. All right? Just for the Sirius Mindz listeners. Wicked Selector 1. Thank you very much, good brother. The Sirius Mindz, official Sirius Mindz 3D 4-sided cap on sale, $35. If you want to support the channel, please purchase one. All right. You can send the money to www.paypal.me/ProfessorGriff Corp. All right. I'm waiving the fee for shipping, so just flat $35, and I got you. I'm gonna get it out to you. All right. All right. That's the official 4-sided 3D Sirius Mindz hat. Support the channel, bro. All right. Support independent news, support independent programs and platforms like this. Support the people that dare to bring independent and alternative information and news, all right, to the vast majority of our people that need it. Support independent stations like this. Shout out to my man Black Dot. Really appreciate you. All right. Hope 16. Hope you get well. Got to see you back and hear you back on the microphone and back on the Sirius Mindz platform. All right. And we got a few announcements. Of course, this Saturday, you got the what's the name? This Saturday, myself and Soleil, we're doing musicology. All right. We're going to actually do the science of syncing up, all right, different forms of music and vibration to see what the problem is and then see what the solution is. And then we're going to come to some kind of conclusion on what the process of healing that needs to be done. And we're actually, Soleil is going to do a sound bath. So if you've never had a sound bath, if you're into ATL, make sure you'll stop through on Saturday. Pass the word. Even if you're not in Atlanta, snatch the flyer. All right, I'll put it up on Facebook. Snatch the flyer. Send it out to the people that you think, that you know live in Atlanta. Get it to them. All right? So, it's a lecture presentation. Is $25 without the sound bath. The sound bath is 8 to 9 is $25 by itself. If you plan on staying for the whole entire thing, it's $40. All right. Those people that cannot afford it and definitely need, not want, but need to be there, contact me. 678-557-2919. 678-557-2919. And of course, y'all know I'll be in New York tomorrow. All right, with Brother Rich. I'll be at Lincoln Center, of course, with Khalid El Hakim, the Black History 101 Mobile Museum. And I will not be doing my check 1-2-1-2. Put this flyer back up. I will not be doing my check 1 2 1 2 on Wednesday. Everyone that submitted their songs, we're going to be doing it next week. All right, brothers and sisters, I know you guys come on and you support the channel with your donations. I really appreciate that. We have to be able to encourage other people to come on and get the information. A lot of people won't come on Wednesday. Some people working, some people busy, some people sleep. We got to take the link and send it out to 5, 6 people. Can we do that? All right. Deep fake is real, and it's going on as we speak right now. All right. We have to be mindful. It says, Professor Griff, I can't call you. Is there another way I can contact you? Yes. Email me at siriusmindzinfo@gmail.com. siriusmindzinfo@gmail.com. Alright? Alright, so listen. Let me make this announcement. I am going to set a date for part 2. Alright, of the emergency preparedness class. The first one was overwhelming. It was beautiful. Right on point. I am setting the date. Alright. So when I'm gonna come on for a few minutes tomorrow, I'm gonna set the date for the next class. Oh, for real? Okay. Yeah. That's the musicology. That's nice. Alright. That should give people enough information on exactly what's going on Saturday. Embodying the goddess. When is she doing that? You're talking about the one in Dallas, right? That's the one, the 27th of July, the one that you're seeing now. All right. And then we're going to be doing Dallas with Professor Smalls. So we're going to put those flyers up so you can see them. September 28th in Dallas, Texas. All right. Myself and Professor Smalls and Soleil is doing an entire Embodying the Goddess lecture before we take to the stage. All right. All right. I'm going to have to see y'all at one of these events, so y'all make it happen. All right. It's been a beautiful evening. We're running out of time. 16, get better. Thank you to the Sirius Mindz family, especially you, Quan, Alex Little, Algernon S., Hassan Burton. Of course, I had to block your man, Dale Dixon, on here talking about the Partridge Family and goddamn the Beatles and shit. I don't know what the hell he was talking about. Cat Boogie. I don't know what the hell dude was talking about, man. For real. Anyway, thank y'all very much. Let's send some positive energy out there to 16 so we can bring her back to the microphone. All right. Love y'all to life, man. This is Professor Griff. I'm signing out. Sirius Mindz for Sirius Mindz. Seriously. Peace. Wicked Selector. Peace, man.
Greetings, this is Professor Griff. Tune in every weeknight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on youtube.com/C/Sirius Mindz RNTV. And make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Sirius Mindz for Sirius Mindz, seriously. Peace.
Under the veil of what people call beautiful lives a broken and empty soul. There's a whole lot of pretty faces all around the world, but that's only the physical. You'll never truly know if someone's beautiful until you look under the veil.
Under the veil is tales, lies, and secrets. Into the heart and pales dies you're seeking. But what you thinking is veil blind and bleak when it's your mind and your soul that needs to be deep in. See beauty skin deep. You're a shallow pond and there's an ocean of wisdom you need to paddle on. Take a dive in. Many jewels there. Your only interest is surface shit and fool's fair. You're a goddess. Take your rightful place. Tear the veil and stare a picture right in the face. Divine feminine. Can't be suppressed. Shakti is the energy that we manifest. Queens rule here. We the Debbie tribe. Take a hit of this tantra and feel the Kali vibe. Peel away the cloak. Scrape away the scales and see the truth of what lies behind all the fallen veils. Trying to be, cause the yachtman is blanketed like a canopy. Antithetical, saying that you real when your identity lies in all that you don't reveal. Third eye blind, eyes to contact, so you can open the lotus up like a compact. Become an offering, something more to give than the physical body that can't forever live. Rooted in passion, before the right cause. Spiritual wisdom and knowledge that make you have pause and let it transmute. Metamorphosize, see the truth of awakening right before your eyes. If it's perception, the real magic. For you to miss all this glory, it would be tragic. So get to tearing the veil as if it was fabric, and find yourself on the path, walking the labyrinth. Something more to give than the physical body.